Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily AI Show. It's episode 654. Today is February 5th, 2026. Joined today by Beth and Andy. I'm Brian, and we'll see if maybe Karl pops in the door. I'm not sure what his schedule's like today, but either way, you got the three of us for the next almost hour. Let's just be honest, probably an hour. We say it'll be shorter. Welcome everybody. Welcome guys. Good to see y'all. Thanks for holding it down after I popped out yesterday. And I was wondering if I could open with sort of I thought it was interesting as far as news goes. We haven't talked a ton, maybe not as much as we had historically about Sam Altman. Not that he's, if you go do a YouTube, he's around. It's not like he's hidden in a closet. Poor choice of words there. That's not what I meant by that. Hidden in a room somewhere and not wanting to be outside, right? And so he was just doing one of his, interviews with Cisco, the company Cisco, and one of the gentlemen there was just obviously he was on stage somewhere. So this came out. This is on Cisco's channel, and this came out 19 hours ago, so yesterday. So I don't think you guys would have brought it up, but I thought it was interesting. I could play a clip or two, but honestly, I just want to talk really quick about some of the things I heard him say that are interesting because not just Sam, but a lot of people at OpenAI, if you care to listen, even just go into their OpenAI channel, watching their presentations on different things, not the stuff that hits the mainstream news, but just the stuff they put out on their YouTube channel. You could pretty much get a roadmap. I never really feel like OpenAI is trying to hold stuff too close to the vest. They're like, this is what we see. This is what we think we're going to do. Lots of people are giving him crap, obviously, because you could play back clips. As they say, receipts never die, right? I don't think ads are a good idea now. And now there's ads in the mix at certain levels. But let me just talk about some of the things that I heard that I thought were interesting. First and foremost, obviously, he's the CEO. He's going to be excited about Codex. But specifically, he was saying that he felt Codex was the first time he's felt another ChatGPT moment. I'm assuming he means the 3.5 sort of wide release and all that, and that it's a turning point. I think that's probably right. I think, even though, we've known maybe a little bit more about Claude Code and what we know that Google's doing and stuff like that. Codex, because of the reach and how many, subscribers and things like that. I mean, I don't have access to it just yet because I don't have a Mac, but I do believe I'll be using Codex this year. I definitely think that's going to happen. Jeff's like, Codex. I don't know. I couldn't tell you a thing about it, honestly, right now. But that's the thing. I know I will. In 2026, I know I will know a lot more about Codex. It's going to naturally just be part of something I'm working on. He talked a lot about AI being, shifting from the idea of being a tool to a collaborator. We've heard that before. He talked about giving computer use and how, even at first he was he had a lot of rules about what an agent could handle. And he said that falls by the wayside as you sort of learn about productivity, but cautioned about that. He talked about, what's the part I wanted to bring up here? Where is it? He said he was surprised by the success of subscriptions, which I'm surprised to hear him say that, honestly, that he thought that somehow subscriptions caught him off guard. But this is the part that I thought was right around the 20-minute mark. If anybody ever wants to go back to the Cisco video and watch it, it's only a 24-minute video to begin with. But he talks about this idea of the AI cloud. He is talking a little bit more about enterprise, but this is, again, one of these times where you go, okay, I don't know this is exactly what they're doing, but the CEO is saying that he sees a future need where companies, maybe enterprises, but maybe SMBs too, are saying, hey, I want you to handle the security, the privacy, the controls of not only the agents that I'm using, but I want to be able to bring in external agents and other models. And I want you to handle that for me as a business as part of this subscription idea. And so he was calling that sort of like an AI cloud subscription for enterprises. And he said, I definitely see a potential for that in the future. And I thought, that's interesting. Not that we haven't seen that, but it's not strategically off mark with what we're seeing OpenAI do, but still important. Here's another one because I did hear this. Go ahead
before you jump off that, because I think that's again Sam teeing up attention for the right. He's setting up the I wonder what that will be, and they answered it today with Frontier. They announced Frontier, and Frontier is what you're talking about.
Is it really?
Is, yeah,
I
it
missed
is.
that.
It is for, it just happened, like literally just happened.
Yeah.
It's for enterprises. They're deployed with a couple of test situations, and they've had that for a little while. And basically, it is building AI agent coworkers in the enterprise. So
there you go.
and we've seen him do this. So keep going,
Yes,
Brian, because that's
we have.
hilarious.
He does it so casually, but
Right.
you're right. It's well done. It's well done. It comes across as an idea he's having, which is to his credit. He's very good at interviews. You know, I mean, Sam, and here's the thing that I appreciate about Sam. He is not afraid of silence, man. He is not afraid of a long pause. Like in this interview, I would say it goes over the crest of uncomfortable, and he just looks down at the floor. 5, 6, 7. I was watching it on 2X, and I thought, oof, he's taking a moment. He's taking a beat, but I love that. Because I don't know that I have that. I do have that problem of, like a lot of people, I feel like I need to fill the silence. And I love the idea, whether it's premeditated or otherwise, that when you listen to Sam Altman speak, he does not feel the need to start speaking immediately. And I think that's a great character trait, especially for somebody who's a CEO, is that he doesn't feel the need to say something immediately. He thinks on it, looks off to the side, is not really concerned with whether the interviewer from Cisco is having to wait for that or the audience. And then he starts speaking about it. And I like that about him. That's not really one of the things I was going to bring up, but I do like that. And then scientific partnerships. That's the next thing I wanted to bring up here, because this one kind of hit the news, right? Where they're like, oh, OpenAI wants a piece of your, your search and stuff. They want to be partners. And he said, no. What he was saying was that for the next great scientific discovery, let's say to cure a form of cancer, not all cancer, we'll say a form of cancer, maybe breast cancer, something really, really big, that the costs for inference and compute are probably going to be astronomical. And that he sees a potential, not something they're doing now, he's clear about that, but a potential future where they are almost like an investor, where they're putting up the front, they're fronting the cost of that inference and compute for maybe some research lab somewhere who says, hey, we think we have a really good shot at this, but we do not have the funding to do the level of inference and cost and compute that it would cost. And then OpenAI comes in and says, we can help you there, but we also want a cut of the solution. And so he was saying he sees them as being like an investor. Truthfully, I see no issue with this personally. I don't know what you guys feel about that, because that's not the same thing as what I saw come out in the news, which is like, if you do something on ChatGPT might want to cut that down the road because you use ChatGPT. And he's talking about something at a much, much higher volume level of scientific discovery, whatever that might be. Now, how do they decide to be an investor? Are they more like a Y Combinator at that point, which obviously is his background? Do they interview and look at projects and say, yeah, we'll support you by giving you cheaper or free compute or whatever, because we believe in this, but also, should it go to market, we want part of the profit. I don't know. Do you guys see any issue or anything wrong with that? I don't. Andy.
Well,
I'm talking, and Andy's like,
yeah, he had a perfect pause.
I think that OpenAI's, real sort of octopusian reach into everything that they want to monetize in order to justify the enormous investments that they made is a little distracting and random. There's a whole body of strategic corporate management that says you really have to focus on a core competence. And that when his ideation stretches into these areas where, we're going to be a VC, we're going to be the AI VC. And
that might have been my words too, by the way.
Yeah.
The VC side of it. That's me.
Yeah.
It's also Sam.
On a micro basis, right? On a micro basis, we're going to manage that with millions of such investments. It just doesn't make sense to me.
What do you think, Beth?
It also is another part of the shift from the original vision, which was that we see that we could build something that would be so great and comprehensive that we would, of course, release it to the benefit of all for free. And now it looks like none of them are thinking of a time horizon when it's good enough, right? We've created AGI. We don't need to spend the money in training a new model. This is good. It can generate healthcare. It can generate power. It can, right? So now we're only going to do inference, which our current users sufficiently pay for. And training continues to be like, I don't see anybody talking about the end game, which was in the original vision. We're going to develop AGI. We're going to release it for free for the benefit of all. Job done. Whoop, good. Now, I don't know. We're gonna heal people, but we would like a little piece.
Two things here. One, two things. One, he did say after this, around the 23-minute mark, that when pressed on what he thinks the order of magnitude better the models will be, OpenAI models will be in 2026, the interviewer said 1, 10, he's just throwing out numbers. And Sam said, I don't know, but 10x feels right. I think the models would be 10x more capable in 2026. Take that as you want. Is that part of Codex? Is that part of 5.2? Is that 6? Whatever they might call it or whatever. Okay, so we'll assume that that's correct because that has been the trajectory. And so of course I would expect there to be some major new model achievement that everybody has access to through basic $8, $20 and above, right? But I want to just comment back on and maybe push back a little bit, maybe to both of y'all. So if my lab, and I have very competent scientists, and I say, I think I can solve for X scientifically. That could be healthcare, it could be space, it could be whatever. However, we do not have the investment funds for the models it would take to get there. And they come to OpenAI and say, we could plot along at this at the $100 level, and we could put 30 people on it, and we think we'll get to XYZ by such and such date. It might take us 3 years. If you're willing to take a percentage and give us higher compute, unlimited, untethered, best models, I don't know what that would be. From OpenAI. And OpenAI is saying, we're capable, we're willing to do that for you to reach this goal that you say you can reach. But that's not free. That could be millions and millions of dollars we're willing to invest in this future. So like, I don't see that as in conflict with if everybody could agree on what the hell AGI is. That's the first problem, to say they solved AGI, because that goalpost shifts and it just depends on, all three of us could determine, we'll probably have a slightly different definition of what AGI is. And mine has also shifted year by year. So who am I to say what AGI is? So you're right, Beth, that is the original tenet, that is the original goal of what OpenAI said. But also, I don't even know how I would believe or not believe them if they said they reached AGI today, because I would be like, well, first I have to agree with your definition. Then I would have to agree, try to determine whether, and that would go for anybody, not just OpenAI. So anyway, I don't want to stay too long on this. I think it was interesting for just 24 minutes. I always find his interviews fascinating. I had not sat down and really watched one. It's just been so Anthropic heavy, which is great because it can be so heavy on the OpenAI side. It's nice to talk about what else is going on in AI. But I thought this was interesting.
I can weave off of what you've laid out here for us.
What's that?
And I want to bring in the confrontation that's going to occur around the attack ads that Anthropic is pushing at OpenAI.
Super Bowl one? Yeah. He didn't bring that up, but yeah, you should.
Yeah. Okay. So it's attack related. Ad is We attack you with parody, but okay, yes.
Yeah, no, but it's basically attacking the idea of ad-supported AI assistants, and that they're going to have to be the delivery mechanism in some way of, commercial propositions. Now, they may be really finely tuned ones, et cetera, and they may figure out ways to do it in a handsome way. But Anthropic is clearly declaring that there's a mismatch of motivations on the part of the assistant, and there's a burden that's created by the need to monetize the assistant's actions in support of the user, and that pushes them towards the subscription model, and they expect you to pay for the value that's delivered by that assistant. This is in connection with what we've just been discussing, which is what can OpenAI focus on, and what is OpenAI forced to focus on because they have approaching 1 billion users, the vast majority of which are free users. So they are, they have to satisfy that. Why? Because Gemini is also approaching 1 billion users. And so they're in competition with Gemini. And meanwhile, on the enterprise side, Anthropic has clearly demonstrated a better and more efficient business model. And they're doing really well. And they're going to achieve profitability before OpenAI can, possibly, unless some magic formula comes out of OpenAI, because of their focus and their discipline around providing really capable enterprise-oriented assistance. Now, while Fiji Simo as the president of product inside OpenAI is focusing on how do we productize and monetize these things that AI can do for this vast user base. Meanwhile, Anthropic has a really entrenched position with many, many enterprises. And so OpenAI has to now shift resources over to, okay, let's do frontier, because, agent models inside the enterprise are really where we need to go. So now we have this product line, and we're going to be doing subscriptions too to enterprise to buy the frontier model, which is available only under, enterprise plans, to my knowledge.
It will be available to enterprise plans. They have plans to roll things out, but you get in line as an enterprise.
Right. But you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay to get the frontier platform. So that seems like their model is suddenly, okay, we're going to not only do what Anthropic's doing and try to displace them there, but we're going to try to do what Gemini is doing here. And you see how they get caught in the middle, straddling these different strategies and trying to encompass them all. And what Sam Altman has said, previously, as you pointed out earlier, Brian, Sam Altman said, ads, I feel it's going to be a last resort, was what he said, that we would do ads. Yeah. Well, now he's forced to do ads, and now he has to justify those ads. And Dario Amadeus is saying, nah, this is what it looks like for you to do ads. And they're doing a parody that shows these AI assistants suddenly interjecting in the middle of a very important conversation, a commercial proposition. Oh, wouldn't you like to have this? Anyway, and that's going to be around Super Bowl, and there's going to be more Super Bowl ads, some of them not attack ads, but who knows? AI ads can be generated very, very quickly. What is OpenAI's public, advertising response in the context of the Super Bowl confrontation to what Anthropic has already revealed is going to be their pitch against OpenAI? Oh, by the way, before I finish, this is all woven together in my own mind with Scott Galloway's proposition to defeat the encroachment of the authoritarian state by removing your paid subscriptions to OpenAI. He is telling his audience that they must do this. It's the only and most direct way that they can do a small thing that will have a major impact. And it's directly related to his concerns that Greg Brockman and one other major leader at there have been the largest contributors to Donald Trump. And so they're trying to, Scott Galloway is also sullying OpenAI for its political posture in its leadership team.
Who's Scott Galloway?
Scott Galloway is a very, very impressive and an articulate influencer. He does a podcast along with Kara Swisher, who is a longtime technology podcaster and observer, all the way back to the beginnings of the internet.
Technology reporter. For a while, you like proved your job
because she started at the Wall Street Journal. I think
you were willing to sit down with Kara Swisher, and she was going to hand you quite something. But as a tech leader, you were willing to do that, and like that's part of it.
If you haven't ever listened to Scott Galloway, he's really quite brilliant. And incredibly articulate and pulls no punches.
Yeah. So really interesting language choice for both of you. And I just want to add a little perspective from what Sam wrote on X. Basically, first, the good part of the Anthropic ads, they're funny and I laughed. And then he went through and talked about his larger reaction. And one of the things that he said was, more importantly, we believe everyone deserves to use AI, and we are committed to free access because we believe access creates agency. More Texans use ChatGPT for free than the total people who use Claude in the US. So we have a differently shaped problem than they do. So that's one piece, is like scale. We're both like standing here yelling at each other. So it implies same scale. It is not same scale.
It is.
Go
ahead. I don't know. I'll comment after. Go ahead.
And then he refers to Anthropic in like general as one authoritarian company won't get us there on their own, to say nothing of the other obvious risks. It's a dark path. So while Anthropic is saying, here's a little parody, can you trust when AI shows you ads through ChatGPT? Sam is saying, oh, that's funny. You're not anywhere near as big as us. And we're referencing the way that you control who uses it. And specifically, he references that Anthropic will not let OpenAI developers use their product to code their stuff. That's an authoritarian move.
Well, Greg, Coke versus Figo. I don't know who Figo has. I was going to say Coke versus Pepsi, Nike versus Reebok. I feel like, and by the way, I'm here for it if that's where these ads are going. You just mentioned the other day, Andy, you talked about how Anthropic or Claude is going to be on an F1 car, right? So clearly they are pushing into their big advertising push or whatever. And that's going to look like a lot of different things. However, they're going to get in front of people to gain market share. Okay, I watched the Super Bowl ad and it's funny, right? It's just like, I don't know if you haven't seen, you can go watch it or whatever, but a lady sitting at a diner booth and the lady sitting across from her is ChatGPT, right? And she's not really there. It's a figment, but anyway, she's, it's how they're showing the lady talking on it from the ChatGPT. And there's a pause and a response, and then like right towards the end of her giving the answer, the ChatGPT rolls right into an ad and suggests that she invests or whatever it was, right? Okay. That isn't correct. That's not actually how the ads will roll out on ChatGPT. The impression in the commercial is this will be midstream and actually try to influence you. And ChatGPT or OpenAI has been pretty clear. And listen, I might end up being wrong here, but they've been pretty clear about the fact that these will be at the bottom. They will be tied in some way into the chat you're having or the context of the chat, but not there in the chat to persuade you one way or the other. I actually think that would be pretty detrimental if that's what they did. But it's Coke versus Pepsi, right? It's like, it's back for those type of things. Does Anthropic have to worry about being exactly right in their Super Bowl ad? Nope. That's for everybody else to figure out whether they're, because they're kind of taking a jab at them. And then, maybe OpenAI will, or maybe they won't, or say, we're going to take the high ground. We're not going to stoop to those levels, whatever they're going to decide to do or whatever. But if I'm Anthropic, this is what I would be doing. So I'm not, I mean, it is what it is. It is a little misleading, if I'm being honest, but I'll be curious to see how this all sort of plays out. I come up through the age where, you had McDonald's ads with, Jordan and Larry Bird in them and stuff like that. And, they were, off the rim, off the backboard, nothing but net. Right. And then that was against maybe a Burger King or whatever. And so times have changed, but like, if this is maybe some of like the type of ads we're going to see, and clearly, if they're willing to put this out for Super Bowl, I don't know what their 30 seconds cost this year with Super Bowl, but every year they announce what that is, and it's millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. So they're trying to take a big swing here. Remember, Perplexity, by the way, did the same thing with Jim Harbaugh. Jim, one of the Harbaugh coaches. Remember, like a year ago, Perplexity took a big swing with their. He was doing a news conference after the game, right? So anyway.
And there may be a big swing. Like, this is just the story that we know. What I think is important to name in this is that Anthropic isn't introducing a concept that isn't already happening, right? It's not like, ooh, users have never thought about what ads could be in this kind of situation. It's been the conversation about AI overview with Google. It's been the whole conversation before AI in like, can you trust the top 10 of Google? Did they just pay to be there? Those kinds of things. Yeah. So it's addressing something that's already on stage. And honestly, it's giving OpenAI an opportunity to address it. Like, I think ultimately this is positive, while also being really good everyday theater. Thank you.
And the last thing I'll say on this is that, just to wrap up back to the original Sam Altman thing, is he said the capability overhang. There's a massive gap between what AI is currently capable of for writing software, making scientific discoveries, and how quickly society and business are absorbing it. And this kind of goes right back to that. He's right, the capability overhang, which is to say a lot of people aren't necessarily at this point using the tools. And yes, there's a lot we've been talking about on the show about, the businesses that figure out how to use these multi-agents and whatever you want to call it, an open claw or a Claude co-work rather, or whatever the Codex version is. There might be something to that. But anyway, just to bring it all the way back around, Anthropic is taking the position, I feel like, with this Super Bowl ad of saying, like, we're playing on the fact that actually not everybody knows that that's not maybe the way it's going to work. And it's going to open up people. I would imagine, I don't know what the percentage would be, a significant amount of people watching that Super Bowl ad will have never heard of Anthropic, ever.
Yes.
Right? So right in there, they're going to reach a lot of audience. Does that convert? I don't know. But clearly they're trying to get out in front of people with the term Claude, maybe Anthropic. F1, obviously, huge place to do that, So anyway, I'm sure there's more news. I have a few other news stuff too. I know we talked about this one quite a while, but it was very interesting. And I think, I wasn't sure how much we had really talked about Sam and maybe where OpenAI was seeing. And so this was great to see yesterday, because I was like, oh, okay, this gives me a vision back of sort of where Sam is seeing this. And I know Codex is a big deal. And like I said, I'm sure I'll be, deep into it. Have either of you guys, I mean, I know, Andy, you have a Mac, and Beth, do you have Macs or PCs? I can't remember, Beth. Macs, right?
I have both. I have a ridiculous
Have either of you worked with Codex yet, in terms of like whatever the latest announcements have been?
No, I downloaded it yesterday. I have not installed it.
Yeah.
I have used Codex for a coding project before, but did it in the browser, not with the Mac app. The Mac app's brand new, and I'm sure it's really good. I have no doubt about that. But I have limited attention span. There's so much I still don't understand or exploit in respect of the capabilities of Claude Code. Yeah. And it'll be months before I, get to the point where I'm 80% proficient in the full range of capabilities there.
And Codex, they announced when they announced this release of Codex Desktop, they also doubled the usage caps for Plus and Pro, and they've been announcing the like 500,000 downloads, 750,000 downloads. They've been announcing the expansion of people who are at least getting into using it based on what they can measure. So it is having an effect, I believe. Codex is the difference between the two. Jeff would say the difference between the two is Codex is better, and lots of people would agree with Jeff. But again, the difference between the two is that Codex is more of give it a job and it can cook for a longer period of time and achieve success that way. And Claude Code is more able to do small tasks. I mean, it's able to do larger tasks too, but you have to work with it a little more. It's not baked into Claude Code that you can just say, here, boom, and then it does it all. That's a little bit more Codex.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've now been working with Claude Code daily. It's been over 2 weeks now. So I don't know. I've used it, right? I moved up to the 100 plan. I use it hours a day, quite frankly, right now on this project. And there's definitely things I don't love about it. But I also there's learning curves there. And so some of that is just, I don't know what I don't know. And so I make missteps and then you learn from that or whatever. Really, really ran into issues yesterday with Claude Code with it's how it was going about understanding it. And then I found oftentimes that I could give the same problem to Gemini, and Gemini, I can actually figure it out. And then I give the Gemini answer back to Claude Code, and it unsticks it. It's weird, right? Yeah. I've also given Claude Code access to look at my Gemini response, and they've talked back and forth to each other, which is super fun. Hey, Claude Code, look at what Gemini said. Gemini is like, great, and then it does the thing, and I'm like, And then I go back to Claude Code, and I just tell Claude Code, keep watching the screen. And it just takes screenshots of what's going on with Gemini. And it's like, oh, I see what Gemini's talking about. I'm like, see, now I don't even have to copy and paste. You just watch what's going on in Gemini, the benefit of the MCP server there. One of the things I want to bring up, go ahead.
Jeff is also saying you get a ton more use on your $20 a month plan with Codex and OpenAI than you get with Claude Code. So if you're picking one,
I believe that. That's always sort of been the big yuck of that. Now I'll say on the $100, I have never once been gated or limited. I've used Haiku hours a day with zero.
Haiku?
Oh no, Haiku. Opus, right?
Opus. Yeah.
Opus.
You can use Haiku hours a day.
Yeah. No, sorry, wrong way around. Opus is
all week long on Haiku if you want.
Yeah. Okay, I have other news. I don't want to get sidetracked. What else do you guys have as far as news of the day? And then I have maybe one or two other things to bring up.
Okay. ChatGPT has offered a few other things, including an expanded integration with Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive, which will allow you to paste link to a specific file in your drive into the chat, and it will go and get that file, that individual file. You don't have to ask it to go search your drive for a file, for example. You can just link it that way. It's not available till March 31st. That's when this new integration is going to be rolling out. Then I want to jump over to some Google news. Gemini is now, I mentioned this earlier, Gemini is approaching 1 billion users. It's crossed the 750 million monthly users mark.
Yeah.
And that's we saw a graph here just about 10 days ago or so that showed Gemini's progression by month, taking more and more share. Well, now it seems like ChatGPT at 900 million or maybe 1 billion or maybe surpassing that. And, Gemini's 3/4 of the way there. So it's at a faster slope than the growth of ChatGPT now. So it's going to catch up. Gemini is going to catch up that way. Also, Gemini adds a new import capability for your exported ChatGPT chat histories. So in ChatGPT, and by the way, I mentioned earlier that, Scott Galloway, somebody who I, respect, is saying, if you can, lots of people can't, but if you can, remove your subscription to Plus for ChatGPT as a signal that, we're not going to play and just lay down for, the people who are trying to take over the country. So that's a political question that, is my own decision myself. But I've been just trying to examine how would I do that, because I have so many custom GPTs. I have projects. I have a long, long history with ChatGPT, and I use it. So I don't want to lose that Plus subscription. But Google's making it easier, right? So you can go to your settings, and there's data controls. And in the data controls, you can export all your data. Now, that doesn't include like the details of a project's instructions and knowledge files, but you can go in and copy and paste those into a chat, for example, and then it will be a part of that export. Anyway, then Gemini makes it really easy as one of the upload file options now in the Gemini dialog box. You can just click there and you can import your chat history from any of these other platforms. So if you are wanting to, for whatever reasons, if you're wanting to constrain the number of subscriptions you have, and you see where Gemini is going and how capable it is, and you want to centralize on that, it's much, much easier now to move off of ChatGPT, stop the Plus subscription, and use the free version only. By the way, everything that you've built in ChatGPT will be there. It's still there. You can upgrade later, and it's all staying there. They don't delete your account if you go back down to the free level. It just means that you don't have access to higher models, and you don't have the same sort of limits, if you will. Okay. And I think I've rattled on long enough there.
So that's really interesting. And I've been watching them do this. I'm not looking at it as leaving ChatGPT necessarily. Clearly, I've made my own choices, because I do get information on X, which is something that that even my AI colleagues do not do. But I would love to go back and cull my data, right? Because there is, I don't know, probably 20% of my chats are things that I would really want to archive, keep going forward, build on, those kinds of things. And then there are just things that are no longer relevant now because AI has changed, and also no longer, like, I was just asking a question, right? Like, I was just looking for some information. And I am absolutely looking for a solution that lets me see what chats are in Perplexity, what chats are in OpenAI,
Sure.
what chats are in Gemini. And Gemini, again, is the only, like, I wouldn't get rid of Gemini. I wouldn't choose Gemini as the only one, because it still frustrates me. I asked it to do something today as a newsletter prep, because there's a thing. I'll share the process at some point. But it told me, oh, the great news today is that Anthropic announced co-work. And I was like, did you just hallucinate the whole thing? Because that was weeks ago, and it was like, oh, caught me red-handed. Like, I pay you. You should not. Just like, well, I just thought maybe it would be okay.
Yeah.
It's like, but Gemini remains the only system, other than maybe an open source, that can ingest video and talk to you about what's in the video, and also has the million context window. Right? Those two pieces for me mean Gemini gets kept, even if it hallucinates.
Similarly, I just believe in Dennis Hassabis and the team at Google DeepMind keeping Gemini at the state of the art. And I think we'll continually be surprised at just how quickly and completely Gemini adopts the real cutting edge technologies of AI and makes them available to us. So I'm keeping that paid subscription for sure.
Yep. And I just want to say, because we do this is usually Andy doing this. Hey, Hunter.
Sure.
Yes, we are so good to see your name. Love that you are still doing this. Yes, we are totally still committed to this. And if you are watching us on LinkedIn and would like to play in the chat, the other people playing in the chat, come join us on YouTube. Thanks.
Yeah, Hunter, we've known Hunter going way back several years now or whatever. Yeah, Hunter, I was saying at the top of the show, this is episode 654 today. So, and except for a minor blip, only a week or two ago where we sent Andy out on his own to handle things. That's the only time we've only ever had one person. As I have a big cruise coming up in the next several months, I was thinking about you guys and that, and like strategy and all the things for the show, because the show must go on, as we know. So it will go on.
Does your brain do the math like mine? Like, what is the number? It's Thursday. The number is 4 or 9. What are the other two numbers in 4 of that?
Yeah. Well, I knew that Friday was 650. So, and then the only place I have to put that, I put it on the title card for both YouTube and Spotify, the thumbnail rather. And then Spotify also has a place for episode. We could have done like seasons and episodes or just straight episodes. It's just there for the people in Spotify who want to know what number we're up to, I suppose. But it does keep us honest. But I wouldn't lie. I won't lie and say that over the course of doing all these, have I gotten off by like 30 numbers before and had either you or Jyunmi have to correct me and tell me that's not where we are at all? Because they just start to roll together unless it's a number like 650 or 700. And you go, okay, 700. It's got to be higher than 700. But I've transposed numbers and, all the silly things that go with how quickly I try to edit and get these shows out daily. One of the news stories I wanted to bring up real quick was something I found was interesting, and it's not about any one particular AI technology, but it's in the realm of the open clause and the news that came out of there, and it just generally agent for hire work, right? Putting multiple agents on something. And they said, look, I mean, this is here to stay, but here's a place in the world that's going to get hit very hard from it. And not the only place, India. Because India obviously has a big part of their economy is that they're able to have like cheaper labor on a host of different jobs and tasks and things like that. And what we're seeing over and over and over again, Anthropic just disrupted the junior lawyer, like literally disrupted the market on a recent news announcement in that area, right? And so this idea of these entry-level positions or low-wage positions that we have traditionally maybe exported over to India, that there's a lot of disruption coming there. And so this little article I was reading, it was in one of the newsletters. I don't know if you guys saw it. Could have been Runway. Just talking about how we will see disruption first there, and then it will trickle out from there. And I just thought that was a really great insight. I hadn't really put thought to that before, but that totally makes sense, is that you have these pockets of the world who, their economy thrives on the ability to have a lot of people who can work. And, maybe for Western countries that might be considered cheap labor, but over in India, it might be a perfectly, suitable wage, you hope, for that person working and living. And it's going to be disrupting people in those jobs because there's going to be less need for jobs if you can just simply put a couple agents on it and get it done. Now, the inverse of that is, like they were saying, an open clause, somebody had done like a simple application or whatever. In over 4 minutes, it touched 400 APIs. And so there's that sort of runaway train problem with, like, whoa, we can't have that either. So there obviously needs to be more advancement on the efficiency of ideas like open cloud or like multi-agents, and how they're maybe confined to how many times they can open an API or whatever. Because if you just give it free range, well, it doesn't really care that how many times it has to ping different areas. But of course, that can get very, very expensive. So I don't know that we're necessarily there yet. I'm sure we're there in some places more than others. I just thought it was an interesting conversation about, hey, yes, we think about I read the news and I say things about like the junior lawyers who maybe traditionally would have come in and just been doing grunt paperwork for a while, looking at, mergers and acquisition or whatever, and that's going to go away. But I hadn't really thought much about other parts of the world who have entire economies that are reliant on these lower wage positions that are probably going to get swept away too. And what damage will that do? So just found it to be very interesting.
We haven't heard a lot about Perplexity lately, but I noticed that Hunter says he uses Perplexity a lot,
Yep.
and for various reasons. And I use Perplexity every day. I think of it as the answer engine. That's really what it's positioned as, and I use it that way. Well, they also have a full range of different AI capabilities, and one of them is deep research. And they've just launched an advanced version of their deep research, which is state-of-the-art performance on the benchmarks. And it's immediately available for Max Plan subscribers. So you can pay a lot of money to be on Perplexity or not. You can be a free user of Perplexity. But the Max Plan subscribers are getting it now. Literally right now, you can do the deep research on there. And it'll probably come down, not all the way to the free tier, the advanced deep research. But if you're a subscriber to Perplexity, eventually you'll get that.
Yeah, and this is another thing that we've noticed, and I find hilarious, that because they want to roll things out as a premium, but also to a small user base, if you pay a lot for your subscription, except for Anthropic, I think, you get to be the test users. You get early access, but you also get, it's not totally ready for prime time, but we want to see how you're going to do it. I find that kind of funny.
Yeah, I've been involved in software related startups, and one of the things you have to do ultimately is you have to use the users as a test group, because it wasn't possible. We didn't have automated testing routines, in the mid-aughts to do that kind of QA. And so ultimately you had to say, okay, well, it seems like it's working well enough. Let's give it out to the early adopters and get feedback from them. Well, now it's a little different. Like when they release something to their premium tier, they definitely want to do risk reduction by ensuring that there's not going to be some crashing problem that they didn't identify in advance. But automated AI QA testing is a thing. Right. You can imagine that anything that you're going to put in front of the public, you can have AIs bang through it 1 million times and see whether the code, fractures anywhere along that path. So I think you're not really exposing yourself to a jagged experience as a Max user using deep research. I'm sure what you would get right now as one of those early adopting users of advanced deep research is something that's better than the existing deep research.
Yes, I would say that too. And AI is good at simulating human use up to a point, which is why we remember Google releasing their image model. It wasn't Nano Banana, but the image model that then generated some ridiculous things, like the love match between a colonial a colonial man and a native woman, all looking like great, walking down the city street or the town street, holding hands, right?
Speaking of Nano Banana, researchers from Peking University and Google Cloud AI just released Paper Banana.
Yes,
a system
so exciting.
System of 5 agents that work together to generate scientific research publication ready diagrams and charts for academic papers. So, one of the things that's kind of a little incomplete about doing infographics or charts and so on with Nano Banana is you'll see some errors in there, but overall it does provide some visual enforcement or reinforcement of the ideas that are in whatever information it is you're wanting to present. But this system is creating, and they showed examples on the announcements, really complex but high fidelity diagrammatics for academic research. So Paper Banana is happening, and probably ultimately OpenAI with their Prism science paper oriented research oriented platform will have to add some kind of image generation that's that proficient as well.
And if we remember, was it last week? I have no idea. If we remember, the Google had established a relationship with Sakana, and Sakana has scientist AI or science AI, right? That can go from hypothesis to paper.
Yeah.
And now we have Paper Banana that can generate the visuals that would go in that paper.
Yeah.
Love it. Anything else? I mean, what do you guys have? I think I could wrap it up here. I have a few more like tidbits, but I could also leave it. Well, I won't be here tomorrow, but I can bring them up at another time. None of them were like super pressing. I think we hit more or less the highlights I was thinking of going into it. And I'll be interested, this is probably the first year, and I don't know how long, that I keep forgetting that Winter Olympics start tomorrow. And like my wife reminded me of it.
I think it's today.
So Winter Olympics. Friday.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does it usually overlap the Super Bowl? Because I don't remember that. But
well, here you see. Here's exactly my point. Why? I don't know what it is that like I feel like it snuck up on me. And I know this is not necessarily AI. I only meant to say that that it's in Italy, by the way. Oh, it's in two different parts of Italy, Milano and Cortina. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't watch a ton of network TV. And so that's probably where there's a lot of promotion for it. And I've sort of heard the Lindsey Vonn things like leading up to it and her sort of run, and, they're sort of figuring out what their storylines are. But anyway, all I was going to say to all this is I am excited not only for the Olympics, but I'm also excited to see how AI is used and what stories come out in terms of like maybe how AI was used as part of the Olympics. So I hope we're able to report on whatever that might be, whether it's new graphics on live broadcasts or how they're able to crunch data or net new video or whatever. I imagine it's being used in many, many different ways as part of the Olympics. So I hope some of that surfaces and bubbles up, or maybe we'll have to go use Perplexity for something like that and try to figure out how AI is being used as part of the Winter Olympics.
Okay, so here's an update. I'm on Olympics.com.
Okay.
Yesterday, for February, men's alpine downhill was the first official training run.
Gotcha.
Curling is underway.
Yep.
Yesterday. Now today, you have curling continuing. And then alpine skiing, the women's downhill first official training, apparently at 2:30. They scratched that for some reason. And then men's downhill second official training is on. And ice hockey, the women's preliminary round, Group B, luge today, curling. Yeah, so it's underway. Ice hockey as well.
Yeah.
The United States plays Czechoslovakia.
We've been doing this show for 3 years, so I probably have already told you this. You guys are starting to become like my wife, where I go, have I told you this? She's like 20 years. There's a good chance this story has come up. It's hard to find new stories. My wife and I, like, have we talked about this? Every once in a while, we'll surprise each other after 20 plus years, but it doesn't happen a lot. You guys are getting like that with 3 years. I'm like, who have I said this on the show? But the quick story, and it's not AI at all, but I'll just end on it because it's the Olympics, and I am excited about the Olympics. Curling. So when I was in Iraq as a contract firefighter, I was in Baghdad between 2009 and 2010. And I was over there for 15 months. I was on the big base. For most of my time there, I was on the Victory Base complex, which encompassed the Baghdad International Airport, as well as a lot of space. It was a very, very big base. And anyway, you would get the Armed Forces Network as part of your TV, which is very interesting to watch AFN. And they have the Olympics, and the Winter Olympics came around while I was over there. I guess that would have been 2010. The Olympics come around, and so curling was on, and we all would go to what they called the DFAC, which was the chow hall 3 times a day, but it was 3/4 of a mile one way. It was like, what exactly next door? You're always walking to and from in Baghdad, right? So anyway, we go eat there and it's like, curling or whatever. Well, cut to like 2 days later, and you got a bunch of guys and girls sitting around, an army and stuff like that, and the people we used to know there, all having very passionate conversation about curling. And so my antidote to this story is, like, when you only get what the Armed Force Network is going to show you, and this is 2010 because we weren't all streaming on our phones, right, on the base. Wi-Fi was a little hit or miss. That you will get into whatever sport they're willing to show you. And curling was the sport, and we all became fanatical about what was going on in curling. It went from, I don't know what curling is, to I have strong opinions about the Canadian team 3 days later on this base. And it's like my biggest memory of being over there is having these serious but silly conversations about, curling, and not to take anything away from the sport. I'm actually a fan now. But it was from my time, actually, of all things, over in Iraq, talking to people who had nothing other to look at on the TV except Armed Force Networks pushing the hell out of curling and making sure we all watched it every single day. So anyway, there's my quick story about that.
All right, for those of you who want to know how you can watch the Olympics, you can pay for Peacock subscription, cancel anytime, but if you just buy for $11, actually you save a penny, it's $10.99 for a month subscription. The streaming starts on Friday the 6th, tomorrow, for the live events, not the pre-training stuff. And you can see it all on Peacock.
There you go.
And we have a correction from the chat. Slovakia is a separate country.
Who said it wasn't? Did somebody say that?
Oh, I probably said Czechoslovakia because, yeah.
Okay. I was like, where did that come from? But thank you. I'm glad.
Go curling.
Yeah,
all right.
Listen, I get it. I'll be right there with you. So anyway, we'll end on that. I hope you all have a good rest of your week. Like I said, I will not be on the show tomorrow. I have some AI training to do for a client. But Beth, Andy, I know you guys will be here. Maybe Karl will be able to pop in as well. So I will see everybody next week. But come back tomorrow. Don't forget, I'll just say what I usually say on Fridays. Don't forget, we have the Conundrum episode comes out on Saturday. You can find it on all the podcast platforms. The newsletter comes out on Sunday morning. You can get to that or subscribe to that if you've never done that by going over to thedailyAIshow.com. And there's a sign up right there, and you'll get it in the inbox 8 a.m. Eastern on Sunday morning. So don't forget about all that stuff, but like, subscribe, do all the things that helps us out. And we're rocketing towards, I think, 4,000 subs on YouTube, aren't we, Beth? We're getting close. So come on, help us out. Subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, or go over to YouTube and subscribe anyway. Come on, you like us. Just do it. Just be like all the cool kids. Just do it. All right. That's it. Have a great day, guys. Bye.